Welcome back. If your Excel has ever shown you a row of hash symbols like this, you're not alone. It's tricked all of us at one point. Today I'll show you what it means and how to fix it immediately. Let's get stuck in. When Excel shows the row of hashes here, it doesn't mean that your file is corrupted or you've lost your formula or your number. Excel hasn't crashed and you haven't done anything wrong. It usually means one pretty simple thing, and the most common fix is simply that the column isn't wide enough to display what's actually in the cell that's showing the hashes. So there's two super easy ways to fix that. The first one is to put your mouse in between the columns, and you can see it changes to a sliding cursor, which means you can hold down your single click and you can just drag the column over until it's wide enough to display the number that's or whatever is in the cell. The second way, which is a nifty little magic trick, is to go to the same area in between the columns and double click, and that will auto fit the column to the width that's required to show whatever is in that cell. Often this will happen if you're zooming in and out and you make the screen and the columns smaller than what you need displayed in the actual cell. But there's another reason too, which we'll get to in a moment. But just to go over it again, you can simply drag the columns to make them wide enough to display what's in the cell, or you can double click in the same area and that will auto fit to the correct width. The other reason, which will come up less often than that, is if the cell that you're trying to display is formatted incorrectly. So in this situation we have a date, the 5th of January, and another date, the 10th of January, and in cell H1 we're trying to subtract or find the difference between those two dates. Now the issue that we have is that this cell, you can see here, is formatted as a date. So Excel is thinking that it needs to represent this answer, which is -5, as a date, and it doesn't know how to do that, so it just gives you a string of hashes because there's no other way for it can't display what you're telling it to with that criteria of a date format. The easy fix for this is simply to change the formatting of that cell. Of course you could change it to a number because it is a number, we know that, but you can just change it to general. When you have a cell formatted as general, which you can see is just the default for all cells to begin with anyway, but that general setting just tells Excel just to show me what I've typed. Occasionally Excel will try and guess what it thinks you're trying to display, but for the most part it's just going to show exactly what you've typed. So the solution to that problem was simply to change the formatting of the cell in the home ribbon from date, where Excel couldn't fulfill its display requirements, to general. But as I said, the most common solution to the problem when you see these string of hashes is simply going to be to widen the column so that it can show everything that's in it. If you ever see the hashes, you know that Excel isn't broken and you haven't done anything wrong. You most likely just need some more space or general formatting in your cells. In the next video I'll show you what I meant by Excel trying to be clever and changing numbers into specific formatting without you telling it to. Again, they're super easy fixes, and they're just little things that stump people when they're first starting out. I really hope this helped you, and I'll see you in the next one.